Hi, my name is Alice Coppers. I have been a licensed clinical social worker for over 30 years in the biggest institutions in California, such as Pelican Bay State Prison, 5,500 beds, Corcoran State Prison, 5,500 beds, and Atascadero State Hospital, 3,500 beds. In my career, I have studied traditional pharmaceutical medicine and I have studied natural medicine. I have looked at the research, and my motto is don't argue with emotions, debate with scientific evidence. I'm going to talk about a bunch of different topics that come under the heading of mental health, including PTSD, traumatic brain injury, anxiety, depression, schizophrenia, and domestic violence. And I'm going to talk about the cure for each using natural medicine. Now, natural medicine doesn't have the side effects of pharmaceutical medicine. So if you go in for depression and you say, I'll take gabapentin, and you have rapid heartbeat, you have possibility of a heart attack, you have all kinds of side effects with the stomach. Is it really worth it when you're trying to just get rid of depression? So I wondered if there wasn't something better, and that's where my research is taking me and you. So this is not a treatment plan, but it is a way for people who are suffering through hard times right now, and I'm included in this, to overcome. And not that you're going to be elated and ecstatic and super happy, but at least you're going to be a nice even keel, okay? And if something happens and you're an even keel, you don't overreact. So if you have questions, if you would like to schedule a private session with me, I am available at www.alternativescounselingllc.com. Now, we're going to talk about depression. And depression has an APA, American Psychiatric definition, and a DSM definition. Basically, what they're looking at is 3 or more severe symptoms that are implicating your life. So, lack of sleep, too much sleep, no energy, okay, not being able to get out of the chair, no hope for the future. On any account, no hope in your job, no hope in your health, no hope in your family, etc. That is depression, and if it lasts for more than 3 months, it's a major depression and could lead to suicidal thoughts. But what causes depression? That's my question. What causes it? So I looked at the American Psychiatric causes of depression, and they are changes in psychosocial stressors, okay, which we've had this year. Changes in neurotransmitters. But what changes those transmitters? Why are they being affected? They don't say. Genetic, that it's inherited, and we're going to discuss that and the research. Dual diagnosis, which means that you have another diagnosis, a major psychiatric diagnosis like bipolar or schizophrenia, you're more likely to have depression. And side effects from pharmacological interventions. And these are all researched by Kwan, 2015. And by the way, all my research is available at my website, www.alternativescounselingllc.com. And you can look up all my sightings for every word I say. None of this is my research. So, depression. One of the things they don't discuss here is, as a cause, is drugs and alcohol. I see a lot of that in my profession. I see a lot of people coming in, and even though they don't admit it, they're drinking 2, 3, 4 drinks a night, or they're doing drugs regularly and they don't want to talk about it, they don't want to quit, but their bosses referred them to EAP, okay? So we need to talk about drugs and alcohol. Also, lack of sleep, especially REM sleep. Very seldom do clinicians ask you, how deep do you sleep? So if you sleep 3 hours and then you're awake 2 hours and then you go back to sleep 3 hours, a regular clinician might say, well, you got 6 hours, that's okay. But to me, there's a big red flag there, because are you getting deep sleep? Are you dreaming? Okay? Don't have to remember them, but are you dreaming? And the other thing that happens is when the body doesn't stop, it can't repair. So just like a car, if you're trying to work on your car when it's still running, you can't get anything done, okay? You can't fix it. You have to turn it off. And the body's the same way. In order for the brain to fix all this, we have to turn it off. And that's why we sleep 8 hours a night, on average. Organic medicine says that the causes of depression, and this is by Kwan, 2017, and Dr. Stephanie Senna from MIT, who has over 30 years of research in journals. Both say the cause is glyphosate. Glyphosate is Roundup, and Roundup is used on our crops for weed control and insect control, but it's also used as a preservative, so that it's sprayed on everything, potatoes, corn, everything, so that it'll have a shelf life of 2 to 4 weeks. And glyphosate has a very bad side effect of it kills the good flora in your pancreas. Now, there have been a lot of research that have argued this back and forth, but in 2017, the research by Kwan proved that it was the glyphosate that blocks these good hormones. So, what causes changes in neurotransmitters? Glyphosate. Okay? It blocks them. And especially serotonin and dopamine. Now, serotonin and dopamine are your calmer and your happiness hormones. So if it's blocking my calmer hormone, I'm going to overreact and dramatically react to everything that happens to me. Okay? You know people like that. Yes. All right. So these neurotransmitters, they are extremely important, and they're not initiated unless the gut has good flora. As far as the psychosocial stressors go, my theory on psychosocial stressors is the younger and the less prepared you are, the more you're going to freak out when something happens. And that makes sense. Young people who've never been in an accident or who've never been through any kind of a disaster, they're not prepared. And so the first time it happens to you, you overreact. All right? However, people that don't have the serotonin and the dopamine always overreact, always give you a dramatic answer. Okay? And I've done volunteer fire department work, and when you get to an accident and it's a young person, they usually are freaking out. And we have to give them a bag and let them blow in the bag and calm themselves down so that we can get some information and get them to safety. So it is mostly young people. But here's the caveat, and this is the good one. Fight or flight. Let's say you go to the movies and you watch a really scary movie. And then you finish the movie and you get in your car and you're driving home and some wise guy cuts you off, okay? Well, if you're still in fight or flight, and you will be because it lasts 90 minutes in your blood, you're going to overreact because you're already up there, okay? You're not calm. That's fight or flight. And fight or flight comes from the old brain, not this forebrain. This forebrain developed many thousands of years after this back brain. We didn't have language for the first 10,000 years of our existence because we didn't have the forebrain developed, okay? So what happens is this primary brain back here, if you saw a snake or a bear or something scary for thousands of years, you knew to memorize where you saw it, not go back there, either run like hell or fight it, okay? And that became instinct, automatic. There's nothing you can do to stop that hormone. It's an adrenaline rush. And when you have an adrenaline rush, there's no focus because you don't need to memorize anything. There's no language because you don't need to say anything. You just need to get the hell out of there or fight, right? And in life or death situation, you are pumping oxygen and muscles, and that's it. No stomach is working. So people don't understand when they're in fight or flight what this means and how it carries over into what they think is the cause, okay? So the brain stem, and the oldest part of the brain is back here. The new part of the brain, language and the temporal, the emotions, is up here. So how do we control this? And how do we deal with it? Well, in therapy, very few therapists will ask, are you experiencing pain right now? And I'm 65 and my back hurts often. So if I am having a severe backache, I'm not concentrating on what the therapist and I are doing. I am more involved in my pain. I'm distracted. The same with anxiety or paranoia or depression. You can't hear that person until you get rid of those symptoms. So to get rid of those symptoms effectively, we have to reduce the pH in the pancreas. We have to grow healthy flora. And this can happen in a matter of a few hours using chlorella. I love chlorella, and you'll hear me talk about it a lot. But what does NASA use since 1965?